welcome to another episode of the CNA Unfiltered podcast. I'm trying out a new thing. I got little Bluetooth mics for my phone. I wanted to talk about CNA burnout, or just caregiver burnout in general, because that shit's no joke. It's no joke. I wanted to talk about caregiver burnout, and it also, I didn't realize this, but it also is referred to as compassion fatigue, which makes sense. It is pretty fatiguing. So just a little rundown as to why sorry, my chair is up against the wall. So the reason why I wanted to talk about burnout today was because my last podcast episode that I did, I was doing 11 days straight. And after that 11 days, I also ended up picking up an extra shift. That was supposed to be my day off. So I made it through the 11 days just fine. I wasn't feeling any kind of burnout then, because I knew I was going to have some days off. Well, that ended up changing because I picked up, and that's what kind of threw me off, like, of course I was starting to feel it a little bit throughout the 11 days because we were working short-staffed. So, like, I was just chopping up how I was feeling to, just, being short-handed, nothing else. Just, that was it. That's what I was feeling. But it ended up being a little bit more than that. When you start to feel, a little meh, and like your residents and patients can see that you're not totally there, like, that definitely is like another thing. Like, these people can tell that you are overworked and exhausted. But I ended up working my extra shift that I picked up, and then the next shift, the next day that I was scheduled to work, I ended up kind of going over the edge type deal. Like, everything had bottled up for so long that, like, I was getting ready to explode, and like, that literally is what happened. But on a coworker, like, as soon as I came in, all she wanted to do was tell me that she was going to take a break. And I was a bitch. This is the Unfiltered podcast, so I can say whatever I want. I was a bitch. I didn't mean to. And then, like, I got pulled into the office, because they reported that, it's not the normal behavior that I have exhibited. I haven't said that I hated my job until then. And they were concerned, so they just wanted, like, management to, like, talk to me and make sure that I was okay, And I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that someone actually stuck up for me in a way, because I ended up getting sent home for a day of recovery, which I absolutely needed. And that day of recovery, even if it was just one day, helped me out so much. So much. So I'm glad. I'm not glad I was a bitch, but I'm glad that someone actually could tell that I was exhausted. So I'm reading here about burnout in healthcare. So what it's saying here that I'm reading, it threw out a little clip that was pretty important. It says, over time, every professional, whether it be a lab technician to a neurosurgeon, CNAs, nurses, anyone that works in healthcare, okay, anyone, may begin to feel the stress of constantly trying to support what seems to be an endless stream of patients, residents, clients. Yes. But then it also follows up by, while it's an honor to be part of their treatment, it can also take a toll on the healthcare professional, which is true. Okay, so they're saying it's two conditions. So it's burnout, and then the other one, healthcare fatigue. I think that's what I said. I don't remember. So burnout, in case you didn't know what burnout is, it is also known as occupational burnout, common term for the physical, mental, and emotional stress of one's job. And then for healthcare professionals, it is referred to as caregiver burnout. We become impatient and insensitive to the needs of our people. We just go through the motions without feeling any satisfaction. I'm feeling called out because that is literally what was happening. That is literally what is happening, and I feel terrible. Alright, so I don't know. Consequences of caregiver burnout is what it's saying. I don't think they're consequences, but like they're issues. I feel like it could have been worded differently, but they're saying it's fatigue, anxiety, depression, negative impact on personal relationships, alcohol or drug abuse, medical issues, heart disease, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and a lower immune response to illness. Which, I mean, the lower immune response to illness also is like fatigue. You know, if you're not getting enough sleep and everything, it all just kind of ties in together. And to be honest, that's like what I was feeling, you know, hella fatigued. Anxiety, definitely. I don't think I was depressed. I cried when they sent me into that office. I cried and expressed, you know, how I was feeling. But I didn't feel depressed. I know what depression is. I have depression. I did not feel depressed. I just felt sad and overwhelmed. Okay. So, with burnout, the common signs and symptoms that they are saying, everybody's different, by the way. I can tell you, not everyone's going to feel the exact emotions, the exact physical response. But typically, it is like it's harder. It's harder for you to get out of bed in the morning, even when you've had a good night's sleep. You just want a nap. You'll give anything to have a nap. Developing headaches or stomach problems, that can also be tied into fatigue and also anxiety. I know because I have these. I do. Also with gaining or losing weight because your appetite has changed. All of that is what they are saying is physical symptoms of burnout, which I mean for the most part, yeah. But again, everyone's different. You could be experiencing something that I have never felt, anyone else that works in healthcare has never felt. Everyone is different. Not everyone's the same, but these are pretty common things. So mental, it is you dread the end of your days off because you'll have to go back to work the next day. Call it out. But it's my own fault because I keep picking up. I keep picking up extra shifts. Be a team player. The weekend is coming up and you're scheduled to work instead of going to the neighborhood cookout, and you can't stand the fact that you have to return to that difficult resident who consumes your shift with endless demands. Okay, so mine isn't the endless demands. Mine is more, She's used to having this certain CNA every day. She is used to having him every day, taking care of her. Well, he's been gone on vacation, so I've had that list with her on it. Actually, two people that are obsessed with him as their caregiver. So for those 11 days straight, well, half of the 11 days straight, and then the weeks after, because that's when he finally took his 2 weeks. So, like, halfway through my 11 days straight, and then the week after, I have had the same list that he has. Since he's not there, they've been putting me on it, and I have them, these particular people, and their demands. It's not, they're not demands. It's they want me to be him. Oh, you're not so and so. I'm not going to say his name. I will not do that. He is a coworker, and he has not given me permission. So, oh, you're not him. You don't do what he does. From now on, when you start your shift, bring me my gown like he always does when he comes on to shift. When is he going to be back? Just things like that. And it's every day. Every day. Even today, I had that same list today. And that's another thing. I had gone into, when I was upset, when they pulled me into the office, they were like, come and tell us what's wrong. So that was one of the things I said. I was like, I keep getting put on this list. I keep getting put on this list, and it is mentally draining me. Like, something's got to give there. And they're all like, oh, well, your nurse needs to make a different list. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Anyways, next one's emotional. No matter how much you do, it's never enough. Definitely, you will start to feel like that. You feel overworked and underappreciated. My work literally says that we're not a zoo, but yeah, we are. If you've ever been to a zoo, that is my job. And we're not saying names. The work is endless and no one cares, neither the RN nor the administrator. That's not true. That's not true. They do care. They do care. And they are doing the best that they can to help you. Especially the nurses. You know, if you come to them and explain how you're feeling, the nurses will try to help with whatever you need, you know, as much as they can help, you know, aside from their med pass and everything. They do care, and they do appreciate what you do. I feel most appreciated by the nurses that I work with on the floor than like the director of nursing. My staffing person is very, very nice, very reasonable. So it's not the same for everybody, you know. You used to enjoy answering call lights and helping residents, but now you're sick of their constant demands. Again, that's different for everybody. Like, I'll start when I was experiencing burnout, it was more along the lines at the beginning of the shift, where I would kind of feel like that, you know, because I was dreading going into work, because I already knew what I was gonna be going into. So it was like that at the beginning, and then like halfway through the shift, it just goes away because you know you've already made it this far into the shift. Like, tough it out. You can get through it. You know. So this next section is saying, what can you do if you suspect CNA, caregiver, or whatever, burnout? Definitely. Okay, so the first one I'm called out entirely. It says, put yourself first. Are you picking up extra shifts because a coworker called in sick? Look at how much you are doing and see if there is a way to cut back. I'm literally doing it to myself. It's not that like they called in sick and then they want me. It is literally, there's holes in the schedule like months prior that, like, not months, but like weeks prior that they don't have anyone to cover. So, like, I go into the office and I'm like, I'll pick up. You know, it's no one calls me on my day off to come in. It's always, you know, a couple days before that day needs someone. It says keep a journal every day. Take 5 minutes to write down 3 things you did that helped a patient or resident or made a difference in someone's life. That helped a patient or resident or made a difference in someone's life. I feel like that could kind of be helpful. I might check that out. Look for patterns. Is there something that happens regularly that drives you crazy? Are there thankless tasks you hate or certain situations that are frustrating? And then it says, just know your triggers can be useful because you can plan what to do. Okay, you can have a plan, but that plan only goes so far. I'm going to say it. It only goes so far. Talk to a supervisor. You can talk to your supervisor. Sometimes they can be nice and hear you out. Other times they're going to be like, it's part of the job. Like, we've been working on a 3 and they're like, you don't always work on a 3. We've literally been working on a 3 for the past 2 weeks straight now. We get lucky to have 4 like after 7 o'clock. And then half the time they pull them to a different unit because that unit is short. It needs people. Okay, short for them is literally 4 people. So they literally want a 5th. And it's stupid. The way that that's a thing is, at my work at least, it's not acceptable. And then the last one is like, time for an in-house change. Consider whether you need a different kind of patient or setting, rehabilitation rather than nursing homes, or obstetrics rather than oncology, or maybe you're just ready for the next level of your career. True. I got burnout working in nursing homes, so that's the whole reason why I went to the hospital. Don't get me wrong, I experienced a little bit of burnout when I worked at the hospital, but nothing like this kind of burnout. It was not bad burnout at all. It was not, especially because when you work at the hospital, at least my hospital, they do on-call for patient care technicians too. So it's great, you know, when the census is good and you get that call and they're like, hey, we're going to put you on call. If we don't call you by so-and-so time, plan to come in. But if we call you, then we're going to keep you on call. Yeah. So that was great. I loved working at the hospital, especially because it was something that I genuinely had a passion in. You know, I had a passion being a PCT. Sometimes the burnout in nursing homes for me is like, it almost makes me question my whole career choice. But then it also motivates me, like, I don't want to stay a CNA forever. I absolutely don't. And it kind of fuels a drive to, like, push me into expanding in my professional field, you know? I don't want to stay a CNA forever. I don't. The burnout happens very quickly for a CNA. It can happen quickly for anyone else, but I feel like my personal opinion is that it happens to CNAs faster because we're the ones that see the people, like, the most. You know, we're the first ones they see when we come onto our shift. Or we do all the butts and stuff. You know, some nurses help out. It's great when they do. So the next one, it's compassion fatigue. That's what it's called. So compassion fatigue, I did not even know this was a thing. It says compassion fatigue is a special kind of burnout that happens to caregivers. It's the result of ongoing care of patients who are experiencing illness or extreme stress. Because you're empathetic, you may internalize some of their suffering and emotions. Over time, you can begin to feel overwhelmed or numb to the needs of your patients. I can see that. How can you tell if you have it? Poor self-esteem, feelings of annoyance or anger, disconnection from patients, less tolerance of others, less compassion for others. Okay. So I can't really put too much into that because I sympathize for, you know, the people I take care of, but I also know not to get too emotionally connected because you never know what can happen. Like, I can care for my residents, but it's always in the back of my mind that, like, anything could happen, you know? So I just kind of keep it at arm's length. Even though there is one lady that I absolutely love. She cried the other day and I started crying. That was the only one that I've done that for. Everybody else, I'm just like, little pat, little pat. I'm here. I'll take care of you. But, like, in a good way, you know? In a good way. I didn't know that was a thing, but I can totally tell how that is a thing. Now that I'm reading it, I have a couple people that I've worked with, that I can actually see that happening with them, like, currently. Now that I'm reading what is happening, a coworker of mine, this is exactly some of the things that I can personally tell are happening to her because I see it because I work with her every day. We're on the same schedule. So yeah. So I guess after reading all of this is basically like, make time for yourself. Do things that you enjoy. Don't be like me and pick up a whole bunch of shifts. Focus on your health, you know. Focus on your health, focus on your home life, you know, creating connections with your significant other, you know, doing things you both enjoy, just doing things that make you happy and can take the stress off of you for a little bit, you know. Unwind. My staffing person that sent me home told me to go get shit-faced. I went and got shit-faced. Normally I don't like to do that because I had to work the next day, but it was needed. It was needed, man. That burnout is no joke. No joke. I'm sitting here holding my babe. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a little bit more informative. Burnout and fatigue are two main things that they make a lot of people run from healthcare. Like, once they start experiencing those symptoms and stuff, they end up bouncing, and it can be something that can be, you know, not 100% prevented, but worked on, depending how lenient your job is. It's a joke. But please take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. You are just as important, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!